Good afternoon, everyone. Let us start. Today, let us learn a new chapter, that is Water Resources, Chapter 6 of your textbook, India, People and Economy. Now let me present my screen. So this is the new chapter, Water Resources, Chapter 6 of India, People and Economy. Here in this big paragraph, some facts and figures are given. See here, approximately 71% of Earth's surface is covered with water. That is ocean. But fresh water constitutes only about 3% of the total water. That means this point we have already learned in the lower classes also. Approximately 71% of the Earth's surface is covered with water. However, fresh water constitutes only about 3% of the total volume of water found on the Earth's surface. So next we have this lesson topic, water resources in India. So water resources of India can be discussed under three heads. Okay, surface water resources, then the second one is groundwater resources, and the third one is backwaters and lagoons. So let us again read some important facts and figures and features of water resources in India. Say you have learned that India shares 2.45% of the world surface area and 16% of world population. But India accounts for only 4% of the world water resources. India accounts for only 4% of the world's water resources. This is an important fact. The total water available from precipitation in the country in a year is about 4,000 cubic kilometers. The total water available from rainfall as well as from the snowfall in the country in a year is about 4,000 cubic kilometers. Then another important fact is that the availability from surface water and replenishable groundwater is 1,869 cubic kilometers. The availability of water from the surface water and this groundwater is 1,169 cubic kilometers. And out of these, only 60% can be put to beneficial use. See here, we get only say 1,869 cubic kilometers for use. Okay, let me repeat. The availability from the surface water and the replenishable groundwater is 1169 cubic kilometer, and out of this only 60% can be put to beneficial use, and thus the total utilizable water resources in the country is only 1122 cubic kilometer, because out of the 1169 cubic kilometer only 60% can be used, and that is why India has got only 1122 cubic kilometer. This is the total volume of utilizable water resources in India. Okay, now let us take up these surface water resources in India. And in India we have four major sources of surface water. Those are rivers, lakes, ponds, and the tank. And there are about 10,360 rivers and their tributaries longer than 1.6 kilometer each. This is an important fact and figure. In India there are about 10,360 rivers and their tributaries longer than 1.6 kilometer. The mean annual flow in all the river basins in India is estimated to be 1,869 cubic kilometer. Okay, the annual flow, the annual mean flow in all the rivers, in all the river basin in India is estimated to be 1,869 cubic kilometer. Do you remember what is a basin, a drainage basin? A drainage basin is an area drained by a river system. Okay, a drainage basin is an area, surface of the earth, drained by a river and its tributaries. So here the mean flow of water, in the river valleys in India in a year is 1,869 cubic kilometer. However, due to topographical, hydrological and other constraints, only about 690 cubic kilometers, that is 32% of the available surface water, can be utilized. See, water may be available in these remote jungles, okay, in the inaccessible areas, in the rugged terrains, water may be available, but we may not be able to access it. So because of these topographical, then hydrological and other constraints, means difficulties, only about 6,090 cubic kilometers of the available surface water can be utilized, can be used. That is only 32%. Okay, see, out of this 1,869 cubic kilometer, only 32% can be utilized. So this 1,169, this is the total volume of water available from the rivers and their tributaries, as mentioned here. Okay, the total the mean annual flow of these water in all the river basins of India is 1,169 cubic kilometers. And out of this, only 32%, that is 690 cubic kilometers, can be utilized. So these are the important features or facts and figures of the surface water resources in India. And next we have another water resource, okay, another type of water resource in India, that is groundwater resources, that is water found in the earth interior, water found in the subsurface. Okay, The total replenishable groundwater resources in the country are about 432 cubic kilometer. Replenishable means can be renewed, okay, can be replaced. The total replenishable groundwater resources in India are about 432 cubic kilometer. And one more important feature regarding groundwater resources is that the level of groundwater utilization is relatively high in the river basins lying in the northwestern region and a part of South India. That means the groundwater utilization is very high in the states of Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan, that is the northwestern region of India, and in Tamil Nadu, that is in South India. So in this region, the level of groundwater utilization is the highest. Whereas some states like Chhattisgarh, Odisha, Kerala, etc., okay, utilize only a small proportion of their groundwater potentials. Then states like Gujarat, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Tripura and Maharashtra are utilizing their groundwater resources at a moderate rate. Okay, so these are the important features of groundwater resources in India. Next, we have the third important water resources in India, that is lagoons and backwaters. Do you remember what are lagoons and what are backwaters? Do you remember that you have learned in class 11? What is a lagoon? Anybody? Okay, let me tell you. See, lagoon is a shallow body of water separated from a larger body of water by a barrier, okay, by a barrier or by a sandbar. See, let us say this is a very indented, okay, this is a very indented course. Let us suppose this side is land and this side is sea. Okay, here let me draw a bigger one. Let me magnify it. So here this is the indented or an enclosed portion, and sometimes due to the action of the sea wave, a sandbar, okay, a sandbar may be developed here, thus closing this area containing seawater. And so this enclosed area is known as a lagoon. Okay, so you'll find such type of lagoons in Kerala, Tamil Nadu, that is mainly in the southern states. So one photograph of lagoon is here. See, here this is lagoon. Okay, here we are seeing a sandbar here, and this is the sea. So this is an example of this lagoon. So this is Garabogas lagoon in Turkmenistan. Likewise, so many lagoons are found in South India, especially in Kerala. Okay, then backwaters. So backwater, you know, is a body of water that was created by a tide, or the water being this held or backup. Okay, see here, let us say a river. Sometimes these backwaters are found at the mouth of rivers. For example, this is a river, and here we have the sea. A river is flowing here. Okay, and due to the action of this tide, due to tidal activity, water may be back up here. Okay, water may be back up here, and that is known as backwater. See, a backwater is a part of a river sometimes in which there is little or no current. Here in this area where the river meets the sea, the slope is so gentle that there may not be current. Instead of this flowing down river, this tidal activity may be there. Okay, there may be backup of water here, storing of water here in this mouth area of the river, and this is what we call this backwater. Okay, so one example, see, just one photograph. So this is an example of this backwater. Okay, this is an example of backwater in this Kerala. So these lagoons and backwaters are also very important, okay, as water resources in India. See, India has a vast coastline, very long coastline, and the coast is very indented. And in some state, indented means just I have drawn, okay, indented coast means this, not straight, okay, indented, not straight, is indented in some state, and due to this a number of lagoons and lakes are formed at the coastal areas. So the states like Kerala, Orissa and West Bengal have vast surface water resources in these lagoons and backwaters. Although the water in the lagoon and in the backwater is generally brackish. Brackish means contains salt. Okay, if the salinity is less than 35 per thousand, we call it brackish water. More than 35 per thousand, we call it saline. And so water in the lagoons are brackish, contains salt, but it is used for fishing activities. It is used for irrigating certain varieties of paddy crops and the coconut. Okay, so it tells the importance of these lagoons and backwaters in the southern part of India. Okay, any question up to here, boys and girls? Any question up to here about lagoons and backwaters? Okay. Next we have water demand and utilization. Water demand and utilization. Demand for water and use of water resources. See here in these paragraphs. Okay, in this paragraph, why the demand for water has been increasing day by day will be discussed in these paragraphs. Okay, see, India has traditionally been an agrarian economy, and about 2/3 of its population have been dependent on agriculture. You have learned that India has traditionally been an agrarian economy. That means agricultural economy. About 2/3 of its population have been dependent on agriculture for their livelihood, and hence development of irrigation to increase agricultural production has been assigned a very high priority in 5-year plans. Population of India has been increasing, and that is why increase in the production of agricultural product is required. At the same time, agriculture also provides raw material to the industries, and to develop the economy we need to produce more agricultural crops so that we can export. And that is why development of irrigation to increase agricultural production has been a top priority in the 5-year plans. And India's water demand at present is dominated by irrigational needs. Okay, now at present India's water demand is dominated by irrigational needs. Just we discuss here, because India has been an agricultural economy. We have so many farmers, okay, cultivating the land, and we need these irrigation facilities, and that is why the demand for water, the demand of water for irrigation is dominated at present. And agriculture accounts, okay, this paragraph tells the sectoral share of sectoral demand, we can say sectoral demand of water resources in India. Okay, sectoral demand and utilization of water resources. Here agriculture accounts for most of the surface and groundwater utilization. Agriculture accounts 89% of the surface water. So it is agriculture which is mainly utilizing the surface and the groundwater resources. So agriculture accounts 89% of the surface water utilization and 92% of the groundwater utilization. Okay, agriculture uses 89% of the surface water resources and 92% of the groundwater resources, while the share of industrial sector is limited to only 2% of the surface water utilization and 5% of the groundwater utilization. And the share of domestic sector, that is in the households, is higher, that is 9% in the surface water utilization as compared to groundwater. That means for the domestic users, the surface water utilization is higher than the groundwater utilization, that is 9%. And the share of agricultural sector in the total water utilization is much higher than the other sector. That we have already discussed, that the share of agriculture sector in the total utilization, maybe in this groundwater utilization or surface water utilization, in both the cases much higher than the other sectors, than the industrial sectors, than the domestic sectors. Okay, so in this way, so this paragraph describes the sectoral this distribution of or utilization of these water resources in India. And next we have this next lesson topic, demand of water for irrigation. So why is the demand of water for irrigation has been increasing day by day? Why is the demand of water for irrigation increasing day by day? So the following lines explains about it. So what is the first point? Irrigation is needed because of spatio-temporal variability in the rainfall in the country. Why irrigation is demanded? Why irrigation is needed in India? Irrigation is needed in India because of spatial, means spatial, then temporal variability in the rainfall in the country. That means spatial variability means, for example, in some part of India like central India, then western part of Rajasthan, the amount of rainfall is very low. Then in the other parts it is enough or high. Okay, and from time to time also temporal variability also there. So amount of rainfall varies from time to time. In India, rainfall is mainly concentrated in the 4 months only, that is June, July, August, September, and whereas in the remaining months it may be dry. Say in the winter there may be little rainfall. So in this way there is a temporal variability in the rainfall, and that is why we need irrigation. Large tracts of the country are deficient in rainfall and drought prone. For example, this Western India, as I mentioned earlier, okay, western part of Rajasthan, then Punjab, Haryana, then Deccan Plateau. Okay, in these areas we find deficient in rainfall and drought prone. And about the temporal variability, see, winter and summer seasons are more or less dry in most part of the country, and rainfall is concentrated mainly in the monsoon season. Okay, hence it is difficult to practice agriculture without assured irrigation during the dry season. As I told you, rainfall occurs only in the 4 months, and in the remaining 4 months there is little or no rainfall, and to have this good agricultural production, we need assured supply water, that is irrigation. Even in areas of ample rainfall like West Bengal, Bihar, okay, breaks in monsoon or its failure create dry spells detrimental for agriculture. Even in the areas of enough rainfall, ample rainfall like West Bengal, Bihar, so there are breaks in the monsoon. Breaks in monsoon means, say, sometimes monsoon wind will give rainfall continuously for about 3-4 days or this 1 week. That is known as wet spell, and after that it will be followed by dry spell. The period of the period without rainfall. Okay, dry spell means the period without rainfall, that is rainless intervals. And so there is alternate this wet spell and a dry spell, and sometimes there is failure of the monsoons also, maybe because of El Nino phenomenon. And all these are very much detrimental, means harmful for agriculture. When the monsoon fails, then Indian agriculture also may be failed, or maybe due to very long dry spell, the crops in India may be failed, and that is why we need irrigation. So water need of certain crops also makes irrigation necessary. For instance, water requirement of rice, sugarcane, jute, etc. is very high, which can be met only through irrigation. Some crops like these rice, sugarcane, jute requires a good amount of water, and there may be this high amount rainfall, but still we need more water, okay, to have to increase the productivity. Provision of irrigation makes multiple cropping possible. Okay, say if irrigation is provided the whole year, so we can cultivate different types of crops in a year, and we can also cultivate this double cropping, multiple cropping of any crop. So if water is available or if irrigation facility is available, then we can grow rice twice in a year or thrice in a year. So in this way, provision of irrigation makes multiple cropping possible. And it is also found that irrigated lands have higher agricultural productivity than unirrigated land. It is true, okay, it is scientifically true. Irrigated lands have higher agricultural productivity than the unirrigated land, and the high yielding varieties of crop need regular moisture supply, regular water supply, which is made possible only by a developed irrigation system. So in this way, irrigation, okay, is very, very important in a country like India, and the demand for this water for irrigation has been increasing day by day because of all these reasons. Okay, and some more about this demand of water for irrigation. See examples. For example, Here in Punjab, Haryana, then Western Uttar Pradesh, more than 85% of their net zone area is under irrigation. That means highly irrigated in Punjab, Haryana and Western UP. 85% of their net zone area are irrigated, and there in this area rice and wheat are mainly grown with the help of irrigation. Okay, and of the total net irrigated area, that is 71.1% in Punjab and 51.3% in Haryana, are irrigated through wells and tube wells. Okay, so of the total net irrigated area, 71.1% of Punjab and 51.3% in Haryana are irrigated through the wells and the tube wells. That means in Punjab, 76.1% of the irrigated area, okay, are provided by these wells and the tube wells. Likewise, in Punjab also, 51.3% of the agricultural land are irrigated by wells and tube wells. It implies that the level of groundwater utilization is the highest in this Punjab, Haryana and Western UP, because they are withdrawing this water from the wells and tube wells, that is from the groundwater. So this line tells why the level of groundwater utilization is the highest in the northwestern part of India. Okay, and this shows that these states utilize large proportion of their groundwater potential. Just I explain you. Okay, and we have got some problems when we overuse the groundwater resources. See, overuse of groundwater resources has led to decline in the groundwater table in these states. Because of overutilization of groundwater, the level of groundwater has been declining. And in fact, over withdrawals of groundwater in some states like Rajasthan and Maharashtra has increased fluoride concentration in the groundwater. See, if this concentration of fluoride is increased in the groundwater, and if we drink it, then it is harmful to our body, to the human health, because it causes a disease known as this fluorosis that softens the bone of our body. Okay, that is called fluorosis, very dangerous. And if the over extraction of the groundwater is again continued, okay, then the concentration of this arsenic in the groundwater in some parts of West Bengal and Bihar has been increased. Okay, concentration of arsenic in some parts of Bihar and West Bengal has been increasing due to the overutilization of the groundwater resources. Arsenic, you know, this is poisonous, very harmful to the human health. Okay, so it causes a problem in this area. And say the last discussion, okay, let us discuss about this map. Say this map describes, okay, depicts these river basins, important river basins in India. And so here, examine this map very carefully. See here, this is the map of India showing river basins in India. And when we examine this map carefully, this Ganga basin, okay, Ganga basin, this river basin is the largest river basin in India. Okay, here in this Ganga river basin, the total replenishable groundwater resources, okay, the total replenishable groundwater resources in the Ganga River Basin is 170.99 cubic kilometer per year. Then we have another river basin. So this is the smallest one, we can say Subarnarekha Basin, Subarnarekha River Basin. So this Subarnarekha River Basin has the lowest total replenishable groundwater resources with a value of only 1.82 cubic kilometers per year. Okay. And about the this level of groundwater utilization, here this Indus River Basin, okay, here this side, Indus River Basin, this area, Indus River Basin has the highest level of groundwater utilization in India, as we discussed earlier. This Punjab, Haryana area, okay, there the level of groundwater utilization is the highest. And here this 77.71%, okay, of the total groundwater reserve is utilized. And about the reason why this Indus Basin has the highest groundwater utilization, we have just discussed. Okay, we have discussed a few minutes ago. Those points, do remember, of the total net irrigated area, that is 76.1% in Punjab and 51.3% in Haryana are irrigated through the wells and the tube wells. Then wheat and rice are mainly grown with the hollow irrigation in Punjab, Haryana and Western UP, and that is why the groundwater utilization is the highest in these states of Punjab, Haryana and Rajasthan. Okay, so in this way you can interpret this map. Okay, here Manipur belongs to Barak Basin. So here in South India also we have Godavari Basin and Krishna Basin. Okay, so many river basins are mentioned here. Do you have any question? Yes? Do you have any question regarding the surface water resources, groundwater resources, lagoons, then backwaters, demand for water in India? Okay. So up to here for today. As usual, please leave your name in the WhatsApp group for attendance. Thank you very much for joining my class.